In the healthcare system, patients' health and well-being are considered the most important objective. Today, I will persuade the class that healthcare workers should have more protection on the job. In order to do so, I will discuss two things. First, I will describe the problem with failing to protect hardworking healthcare workers. Then I will introduce my solution. First off, I am going to describe the mistreatment of healthcare workers. Healthcare workers are often mistreated by patients. According to Wallace Stephens in his article, Violence Against Healthcare Workers, a Rising Epidemic, published on May 12, 2019, while 75% of nearly 25,000 workplace assaults occur annually in healthcare settings, only 30% of nurses and 26% of emergency department physicians have reported incidents of violence. Healthcare workers will most likely experience one or multiple types of workplace violence in their career. Per my last source and from personal experience, every single day healthcare workers are physically or verbally assaulted by the people they take care of. In my own personal experience, if you have a certain section, every single day there is at least one resident who either verbally abuses you, there can be physical abuse, or even you'll experience both in one day just from one section. Every single day in the facility I work in, someone experiences workplace violence, but we're so used to it that we just complain, but most of the time people don't report it. We also experience mistreatment from management, or sometimes the management simply does not care. Healthcare administrators are in charge with making sure care is given smoothly in healthcare settings. According to the American College of Healthcare Executives in their article, Healthcare Executives' Role in Mitigating Workplace Violence, published in November 2018, the psychological impact of violence can lead to missed work, deterioration of health, burnout, and in some cases, post-traumatic stress disorder and secondary trauma. We experience workplace violence so often, and we can think we're used to it, but it does have an impact on us. Here at work, a coworker was yelled at by one of my bosses, and it's just so stressful to be a healthcare worker that person actually put in their 2-week notice. So as a healthcare worker, you deal with these things, and it goes on, and after a while, if the management doesn't care about you, any little thing can just set you off. So many people have left this place, leave their facilities, especially nursing homes, just because the management doesn't care about us. Now I will discuss the solution. The solutions to making hospitals safer, there are many steps that can be taken. I'm going to go over a few different ones. One thing that management can do is they can define exactly what workplace violence is to their staff, and they can train their staff how to talk their residents down or their patients down, or how to deal with it and when to just walk away. Another thing that management can do is they can look at past reports of workplace violence, and they can also talk to healthcare staff to find out what kind of workplace violence goes on in the facility. Another thing hospitals can do is raise awareness around the issue and create guidelines. They need to healthcare workers need to know when they are when they are facing workplace violence, even if it's just verbal. It can also be emotional, it can be mental. There's a lot that happens, and healthcare workers need to know when they are being assaulted at work. One last thing I think is really important is that hospitals keep track of how this facility is doing on a regular basis. Like, they look at what kind of violence their workers have to deal with. Now I would like to go over how to make nursing homes safer. And a lot of these can be intertwined with hospitals and nursing homes. Nursing homes just tend to have more long-term patients, which we call residents. The first thing I would like to go over is engineering and designing all spaces to be as safe as possible, making sure there's no sharp edges anywhere, making things clear of clutter, having light decorations so that they're not in the way, making sure rooms are spacious so that nursing staff can fully do what they need to do. For example, we have warrior lifts, and they are very big and they are heavy, and we need to have room to maneuver them around so that we can safely transport our patients. Another thing is maintaining safety at all times. That means making sure there's maintenance, all the lights are working, the doors are working right, pretty much making sure everything is working perfectly so that nursing staff can have smooth shifts. Creating a zero tolerance policy. So there are facilities that are designed and meant to take care of patients who are violent. But nursing homes, while many patients can have violent episodes and might have a history of violence, we aren't meant to be. Healthcare workers should not be beat up at work. And in nursing homes, convalescent homes, we cannot restrain our residents, which means we should not be getting residents that are violent super often, but we still do. What I think nursing homes should do, and other professionals think that nursing homes should do, is create a zero tolerance policy for violence. And that means informing the resident and informing the family, because families are usually the ones who use the consent, because many residents can't make informed decisions anymore. Another thing to do is that if we do end up having a violent resident, is to set up systems to keep track of patients who are violent, and to keep track of when they are and how often, and checking up with them on a regular basis. And one last thing is that the managers or supervisors should make themselves available to help at all times. While nursing staff understands that management has a lot of office work to do, sometimes we need help and everyone else is busy. So they should let us know that they are available at all times. And while they often do this when we first start, sometimes that's not always the case. Today, I have persuaded the class that healthcare workers deserve better treatment. I hope that this has convinced you that you should always treat your healthcare providers with respect. Thank you.